This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning, the Public Information and Education Committee and special meeting of the Board of Directors, West Basin Municipal Water District. I am the current president of the board, Harold Williams, and I will now call the meeting to order. And we will have roll call, please. Staff?
Yes, thank you very much, President and Chairman Harold Williams. We'll begin our roll call with Director Scott Houston.
Here.
And Chairman Williams.
Here.
I do believe that our alternate, Director Alvarez, is not able to attend.
Take care.
I'm having difficulty hearing.
Okay.
Take care, Wilson.
I see two of our other directors, Director Gloria Gray.
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you very much. And Director
Can
Don
you hear
Deere.
me?
Yeah, I'm here.
And Director Gray, yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes. So now we'll go to item 3 on the agenda, which is public comment. Any public comment?
Chairman Williams, we do not have any public comment submitted already, although if there are any members that are joining us virtually, if they would like to make a public comment, if they could add their name through the chat box, would be happy to queue them up.
Okay, very good. Next, then we'll go to directly to item 5 is our action calendar. It looks like we have one item. So, Mr. General Manager, can you handle that, please?
Yes, that is correct. Under item 5A, our action calendar, we do have the Palos Verdes Recycled Water Pipeline Construction Outreach Project. This begins on packet page 3, and obviously this will be a crucial part of the PV lateral project as we enter into construction. So it'll be a pre and during construction phase. And for this item, we do have Daryl Ramos-Young, our public information specialist.
Thank you, EJ. Can you hear me okay, EJ?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Good morning, President Williams and members of the board. It's always great to see and hear you all. Hope you're doing well. The design of the Palos Verdes Recycled Water Pipeline is currently ongoing, and construction bidding activities are anticipated to take place later this fall. Because the project will impact residents and businesses located along the construction alignment, a proactive and well-planned communications outreach strategy is required well in advance of construction activities. As a result, West Basin issued a request for proposals for outreach consultant services to develop and implement a construction awareness outreach program on July 1st, 2021. The RFP was distributed to 368 vendors on the district's e-bidding procurement system. 5 firms attended the mandatory pre-proposal conference on July 13th. 4 proposals were received by the July 29th deadline. A West Basin review and selection panel evaluated the submitted proposals and assigned scores based on the completeness of each proposal, examples of previous related work and job references, appropriateness and feasibility of their proposed communication strategy and tactics, proposed project costs, and the quality of responses during an interview. On packet page 3, you can see a summary of resulting proposal evaluation scores in which Murakawa Communications earned 100 points out of a total 107 possible points, the most of all 4 respondents. More detailed scoring information by respondent can be reviewed in Exhibit A on packet page 6. You can see that all 4 respondents' proposal costs are all within close range of each other. The allocated budget of $150,000 for the construction outreach services was openly shared at the mandatory pre-proposal meeting to ensure proposal submissions would appropriately reflect the requested work scope and the firm's required compensation. All 4 proposal respondents are small business enterprises. 2 were local business enterprises, and 3 firms have previously completed work for West Basin. And these 3 firms include MBI Media, Environmental Outreach Strategies, and Morikawa Communications. The proposal evaluation categories that set firms apart from each other were their technical approach, or proposed communication strategy and tactics, and price proposal, or how their funding allocation and amounts supported their tactics. Because of their higher quality proposals and therefore higher evaluation scores, Morikawa Communications and a new firm to West Basin, SGA Marketing, were invited to an interview. Morikawa Communications, in the end, received the highest review panel evaluation score. The firm is a small, local, and women-owned business enterprise with a skilled and knowledgeable staff that has an excellent reputation among and strong relationships within the specific communities that will be affected by the pipeline project construction. The firm has a robust and intentional proposed outreach strategy, which includes proactive one-on-one briefings as needed and stakeholder presentations, including regular outreach coordination meetings with cities and project partners to ensure clear communication and coordinated construction efforts where there may be overlap. In addition, community project updates will be issued via social and printed media tactics, and construction notices will be issued by email and text alerts. Unlike other firms, Morikawa Communications has a very personalized approach to staffing a community construction information hotline, which has proven successful. Unlike other firms, Morikawa Communications has a very unique, local, friendly, and community-embedded approach to sharing construction information, which includes neighborhood canvassing by their own staff, not a sub-consultant, pop-up tent events planned for Lago Seco Park during peak park user hours during construction, and office hours in the communities along the construction alignment. They were also the only proposal respondent to demonstrate thorough knowledge of the soon-to-be affected communities and knowledge of local civic government operation. They had the foresight to identify outreach considerations in their proposed communication plan that included the upcoming street resurfacing project on Anza Avenue and PCH that's currently in design and most likely will be under construction in summer 2022. And they also identified the upcoming June 2022 Florence municipal elections for District 5, which includes the construction project location. Morikawa Communications has also provided construction outreach services for West Basin recycled water pipeline construction projects previously in the cities of Carson, Inglewood, El Segundo, Redondo Beach, and most recently served as the prime outreach consultant for the pipeline and booster pump station design and approval phase for the Palos Verdes recycled water pipeline project. For this reason, if we can go back to packet page 3, I'd be happy to read the staff recommendation. And I'll just go ahead and read it here. Staff offers the following recommendation: that the board authorize the interim journal manager to enter into an agreement with Morikawa Communications for the development and implementation of a construction awareness outreach program for the Palos Verdes recycled water pipeline project in an amount not to exceed $149,060 for the approximate 18-month construction duration. So with that, concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Daryl. Outstanding report. Director Houston, questions?
Thank you very much, Daryl. I think actually my only question on this is once this is approved, at the board meeting level, how soon do they start the work on this outreach project, the timeline?
As with most of our contracting processes, it will probably take a month or so to get their paperwork online. It'll be a lot quicker since Morikawa Communications is already in our procurement system. So I imagine by November, they should be on board and we can begin the planning process moving forward.
Okay, and then, because I see it says it's an 18-month construction duration, so that's basically what we're anticipating. Once they're on board, it's 1.5 years, and that's where we're at in the whole scope of the project as well.
Yes, from what our engineering department is stating, they're still on schedule. And for us, it's a matter of making sure we have the outreach communication services on earlier so we can get our ducks in a row. So when construction begins, we're already ready and can quickly mobilize, depending on the construction schedule.
Okay, great. No, I have no further questions. They have a tremendous reputation, so I support this moving forward to the board.
I have no questions. I concur. So staff, would you forward this on to the the board for approval?
Happy to do so. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That takes us to the next item, which is item number 6 is information calendar.
Yes, Chairman Williams, that is, we do have 5 information items for you. The first, of course, is item 6A, our water bottle filling station update for September 2021. This does begin on packet page 7. And Tammy Hurley-High, our water policy resources analyst, is here for this presentation.
Hey, thank you, EJ. Good afternoon, Chair Williams, Member Houston, and board directors. Today's presentation will provide a status update on the activities of this program. And on this cover slide is a presentation. It includes a picture of a station that has been installed at Rudolph Park, located in the city of Lawndale, where we were able to visit recently. So if we move to slide 2, page 10 of the packet, this is a list of applicants within the past couple of years that still have pending construction plans. State Wilhelmina is still pending. The City of Rolling Hills Estates, they have received delivery of the 2 stations. However, their construction is still pending. For the City of Redondo Beach, we have just been informed that they are completing installation of their new station located on the pier. So that's good news. And then with regard to the Culver City Schools, their construction is still underway. The City of El Segundo, they have 2 additional water bottle filling stations, and they have advised me that their construction phase is almost complete. So that should be completed in the very near future here in the coming weeks. And as mentioned before, much of the installation delays have been largely in part as a result of the facility closures this past year. So moving on to the next slide and page 11 of the packet. This list includes agencies that submitted applications last fiscal year and includes applications for the Palos Verdes Peninsula School District, Culver City School District, and then the cities of Malibu, Gardena, and Lawndale. So far from this list, there has been 1 unit that has been installed, and that's with the City of Gardena at Raleigh Park. So if we can go to the next slide, this is a list of agencies that we're currently coordinating signage for. And the cities, as I mentioned, of El Segundo and Gardena, they have informed me that their construction is nearing completion. And then for the city of Hawthorne, they reached out and they have confirmed that their newest recently installed station at their Memorial Center still needs a signage. So we're coordinating and ordering that for them as well. So moving on to the next slide, please. Thank you. This indicates our first application that we've received this year so far. And this is from the Cal State University of Dominguez Hills. And they have applied for 2 outdoor stations to be located at both their baseball and their softball dugout in the field areas. So the next slide shows a photo, and this is a photo opportunity we were able to get recently in the city of Lawndale with the council members and Director Deere. And so from left to right is Mayor Pro Tem Pat Kearney, Director Deere, Mayor Robert Fuller-Miles, and then Council Member Bernadette Suarez. So this is a great opportunity. There were some families in the park, and they were able to also join in on some other photos. So that was kind of exciting for the council members. They, enjoyed having that sense of community to involve everybody and, make it a presence and awareness that we are helping to put water bottle filling stations out there. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So this slide shows a list of agencies we're working with right now to coordinate more photo opportunities. And we will continue to keep all of the directors updated as we solidify and confirm dates. And then lastly, the final slide shows the budget for the current fiscal year. And you can see here, it just represents the 2 applications that we have received so far from Cal State Dominguez Hills. And that concludes my update. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
No questions. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
Okay, well, go ahead, Tammy. Next item, please.
Thank you.
And Chairman Williams, that brings us to our next information item, item 6B, which begins on packet page 17. And this is our monthly conservation programs update. The presentation will be provided by both Gus Meza, our Senior Water Policy and Resources Analyst, as well as Jennifer Vasquez, our Water Policy Resources Analyst too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, EJ. Good morning, Chairman Williams, committee, and board members. I have a few updates on our water efficiency programs, and then I'll be turning this over to Jennifer Vasquez for her updates. My first update is on our Change and Save program, which is shown on board packet page 17. West Basin continues to provide residents with free online water conservation surveys, free indoor conservation kits, and our $500 clothes washer rebate. Staff recently received a DWR agreement amendment to extend the Change and Save program through June 30th of next year. We're currently in the process of procuring an additional 500 conservation kits to help residents conserve money and water. The original goal of the project was to reach 500 residents, but due to our funding partnership with MWD, we have been able to exceed our goal. We have reached 1,000 residents, mostly in disadvantaged communities, and we will reach an additional 500 residents by the end of this fiscal year. To date, we have provided residents with 200 clothes washer rebates at $500 each, which totals $100,000 in grant funds. And our goal is to reach a total of 400 rebates by next year. We're currently in the process of working with our public information department to develop additional marketing strategies to promote the $500 clothes washer rebate to our disadvantaged communities. I'll go ahead and pause here for any questions you may have.
Yes, Gus, I have a question. Anyone else before I go? The Director Houston. Okay. Well, yes, just quickly, could you remind us again, to me, what's in the conservation kit?
Yes, Director Williams. Inside the conservation kit is a high efficiency shower head, 2 bathroom aerators, sink aerators that the resident will install. And there's also a little device that attaches to the shower head and the stem. It's a temperature sensor, which turns off the water to a drip until it heats up. And then there's like a string attached to it, and the resident pulls that, and then the hot water comes out. So it's a water conservation little device that attaches to the shower head as well. So they get that with instructions. And I mentioned the shower head as well. And yes, that's what's inside the kit.
Okay, when we have our public outreach events, do we have those available to give out, or are they too expensive to give away at that time?
They are a little expensive, especially with that one thermal device. And I forgot to mention, Director Williams, there's also a kitchen sink faucet aerator that's included for the kitchen. So right now, through this program, the South Bay Environmental Services Center is shipping they're mailing out the kits. So the first step is for the resident to go to the website, change and save, and go through the survey. And then the South Bay Center will review those surveys, make sure those residents are within our service area, and then they mail them the conservation kit. So that's how the program works right now. So we're definitely recommending residents to go to the website, come to our website as well, West Basin website, and get to the Change and Save program. They can sign up, and that's how they get their free conservation kit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and move on to our Malibu Smart and Topanga Smart program. West Basin and our partners there, the City of Malibu and LA County Waterworks and our consultant, R.W. Jones, we've reached 97% completion of the water savings goal for that grant program. This program is set to expire November 30th of this year, but due to all the recent federal, state, and local drought declarations, it would benefit the district and our partners and the residents to continue the program through June 30th of next year. We've analyzed the grant budget, and we do have remaining funds. A portion of the additional funds could be utilized to have our consultant, R.W. Jones, continue marketing, managing the landscape contractors, assembling and submitting the invoices for the quarterly grant reports, and also through our qualified landscape contractors that we currently have there in the program. We plan on providing free direct installation of smart sprinkler timers and sprinkler nozzles. So the extra time would greatly help us to install more devices in Malibu and Topanga. If the committee supports this idea, staff can bring back an action item next month to extend our consultant's agreement to next June and to add grant funding for administration, reporting, and marketing. We would also provide the estimated number of devices and water savings projected for the extension. In discussing this idea with our consultant, we could actually reach and possibly exceed 100% of our grant goal by extending the program. So I'll go ahead and pause here for any questions and direction from the committee.
Well, thank you, Director Houston. Questions?
Let's see, no question, Gus. I fully support that. I think that would be a great idea if you guys can come back to us with a proposal and get some more time on this. And also, of course, knowing that it's, this whole program has been run through one of the most crazy times ever between the Woolsey fire and now the pandemic. But, we've been doing very well and it's been received good. So I fully support if there's a way we can give a little more time, and it'd be fabulous to go beyond the 100% metric. So definitely support that. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
How about Director Deere,
No questions. Thank you.
Director Gray?
No, thank you. Just want to thank EJ and everyone for continuing to do what they do for water conservation. Those are great programs, but thank you.
Okay, then. Well, Gus, once again, you nailed it.
I'll continue, Director Williams. Thank you.
Go on.
The next update is on our fire escaping webinars, which is shown on page 18. We currently have a webinar scheduled for September 15th, targeting the Malibu and Topanga areas. We currently have 82 RSVPs, many from Malibu and Topanga, but we have others from PV and other areas. As requested, Director Houston, a list of the attendees and locations will be provided today to the board services as part of the weekly RSVP update. In addition to teaching about best fire escaping practices, these webinars provide us a great opportunity to educate the public about West Basin and our water conservation programs. Are there any questions?
Questions?
No question, just a comment, and I want to say thank you, Gus and the team. We had a rehearsal yesterday that went well to get things, make sure everything's in order for next week. And I'm looking forward to seeing those RSVP numbers, but just so President Williams knows too, I think the biggest batch was from Malibu. I think the second largest was from the Palos Verdes area, correct, Gus? And then the third was Topanga. So the Palos Verdes folks are RSVP, which I think is excellent.
Yes, that is correct, Director Houston.
Yeah, good. And for having 82 people already signed up, and I know we'll probably get more because they wait till the last second. But I'm looking forward to this. So again, another great program you guys have put together, and we're continuing.
Great, thank you.
Any other
I'm
comments?
sorry, Director Williams, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gus.
Thank you. My last update is on our Rainbow program, which is also shown on packet page 18. At last month's committee, staff presented a hybrid plan with the intent of keeping staff and other attendees as safe as possible. Staff is in the process of procuring 1,500 rain barrels, of which 700 will be provided through our home delivery program, and the remaining 800 rain barrels will be provided through 2 in-person events, one at our Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility and the other at our Donald L. Deere headquarters building, utilizing vaccinated employee staff and vaccinated staff from the South Bay Environmental Services Center. The 2 in-person events, of course, will be contingent on the LA County health safety orders. We will offer up to 400 rain barrels at each event, and the actual number will depend, of course, on the number of RSVPs and interest from the public for those 2 events. The home delivery program is scheduled to begin this November, and the 2 events are currently being scheduled with our Public Information Department and the South Bay Center. I could take questions on this program here.
Questions?
Sure. One of them you already answered, Gus, which I think is great. So it sounds like the home delivery, you're going to try and get that started in November already. Is that's what you just said?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's excellent. And then I'm hoping, yes, depending on how the county allows and such, but if we could do the in-person events, obviously in the midst of the rainy season. So hopefully we'll target January, February for those. But I'm glad that you guys are already starting to get this moving, because now we're in September. So you'll be rolling out the information for the public, I assume, in the next month, so they can start signing up, because I've heard interest already, of course. So anyway, the sooner the better that we can start promoting it so people get on the RSVP list. That would be good.
Okay, that sounds great.
When do you all think you'll have those flyers starting to come out?
Well, currently, we do have a website that's up right now. We have a web page, Director Houston, on the Rain Barrel Home Delivery Program. That's currently up on our website. And when people click to sign up, it sends them to the South Bay Environmental Services Center, and they sign up on an interest list. So that's currently active right now. So I'm working with the Public Information Department to update the marketing materials over this next month or so. So at the next committee meeting next month, I could provide you more of a timeline on those materials.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. If there,
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Gus.
okay, thank you, Director Williams. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Jennifer. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Gus. Thank you and good afternoon, Chairman Williams, committee, and board members. It's still morning, I realize now. It's always afternoon when I'm speaking, so I'm surprised. So I will begin on board packet page 19 with an update to the grass replacement rebate section. And we have included the rebate application table on that page. Please note that, again, the report begins on the new fiscal year with applications received on from July 1st, 2021, the new fiscal year, and forward. I did want to update, it always is when we complete the application download, there's kind of a lag from when we conduct this meeting. So there were a total of 6 total applications that were received and processed in the month of August. And I also wanted to point to board packet page 20 with the most updated grass replacement postcard artwork that was created in support of the new website, resources, and information. I did want to take the opportunity to thank the PI team, which we worked really closely with, and specifically Michael, for focusing on a really vibrant type of modern look for this postcard. I think it's very calling, and it draws the attention to the grass replacement program, which of course is getting a lot of attention during this time. So I did want to thank their team for bringing this forward as far as addressing our needs for the grass replacement program and the activity that we hope to see in the next few months, and just continuing on from the success of last fiscal year. I did want to highlight some of the aspects of the postcard. So for the grass replacement process, which includes the water saving plants, an opportunity to assess the irrigation system and incorporate a rainwater capture element, we do call out those items specifically just to get our residents familiar with the process for grass replacement, and so that they know really what it really entails. Usually when they think about grass replacement, they think literally just removing it, but there's so many different steps that go into it, and an opportunity to look at your irrigation system and also build in some sort of stormwater capture element if that is something that you're interested in doing at that time that you're building out. And actually, as part of the rebate, it is required for it to include a storm capture element. So that is a good update to let residents know as they're beginning this process. Right below the application table, staff has also included the monthly summary image of the Metropolitan Conservation Activity as updated in the August Conservation Board report with the committed dollars as of July 10th, 2021. I did request for Metropolitan staff to confirm the percentage, which you see there on the gauge. It has sat at 63% for quite some time, and I did ask them if that data was updated. And so I'm hoping to hear back in the next month and see if it is in fact still 63% of remaining funds. And this again is for the regional program. I would assume that with a lot of the activity that we're seeing in these next few weeks and months, that gauge should be hopefully dropping, which means more applications were received. And West Basin, of course, staff understands the opportunity to promote this program during the increased messaging, as I've mentioned, for the outdoor water efficiency element that residents can really engage with this program. I will move on to the grass replacement class section on board packet page 21. Just a quick update that upcoming dates for the grass replacement classes are listed in the look ahead calendar on board packet page 23. And I did, as I wrap up the grass replacement section, I did think this was an ideal time to mention a new West Basin led effort that hopes to engage residents in a webinar series we are calling West Basin Chats. We identified that residents may have a lot of questions on the application process for our various programs, and we wanted really to connect with them to address their concerns, their questions. Sometimes from my experience speaking with residents specifically, they have questions about qualifying, how to qualify for the rebate, what types of plants they'll be looking at installing once they begin the process. And then some simply want to hear that the funding is available. There's that fear of going into a project and then finding out that the funding isn't there. So it might be as simple as, producing this presentation where it allows residents to know, hey, this money is still available, we're here to help. The way that I imagine it, I really imagine giving a face to West Basin and our water conservation staff. So West Basin Chats gives an opportunity to kind of have almost like a Q&A portion for residents to ask as many questions as they might have, not just on grass replacement. We are also focusing on change and save. So I did want to talk a little bit more about the structure of what I imagine the West Basin Chats will look like. And so for the structure will be similar for all of the West Basin Chats, and it would include a short 10-minute presentation of the particular program that we are covering. So I'll just go with the grass replacement example. 10-minute presentation followed by a 20-minute opportunity to engage with a Q&A, again, with the conservation staff to ask any questions they might have about the application process, and also any interesting questions they might have about beginning any of these programs that we talk about very often, but might not be available directly to answer. So this is West Basin Chats is kind of a way to do that. We have worked to identify some tentative dates ranging from September through early November. We hope to begin the first West Basin Chat following any feedback today on September 30th. And we do welcome, of course, your feedback as we develop this further and begin a promotion of this short webinar series. I did want to provide, of course, an overview of the dates that are being considered, and I can definitely work with Julie to share these out shortly after the meeting so that you're aware and kind of can see these fully listed out. So what we're thinking for West Basin Chats, we would have a grass replacement focused one Thursday, September 30th. I did forget to mention that, again, these are very short in time. We're hoping to have something quick and available for residents to attend, and we did find that the ideal time for these types of conversations to happen in the afternoon when residents are off of work and available to kind of join in for a short webinar. So we did decide on 5:30 to 6 p.m. As the time for all of these as far as the schedule. And so September 30th would focus for the grass replacement. And then moving on to change and save, we have a few options. We have two options, I should say, October 21st or 28th. And then lastly, we would return back to another West Basin Chat for grass replacement on November 4th or 9th. And again, I know these are a lot of dates to kind of talk about, so I can definitely send the full schedule that we've kind of set tentatively out to the group. But we think this is, again, a great opportunity, and we really do welcome any feedback you may have about this structure. I think it's a great way, again, to engage our residents and as they're becoming interested in these programs. So I will take a brief pause to answer any questions regarding anything grass replacement at this point. And if there are none, of course, continue on to Cash for Kitchens.
Okay, Director Houston.
Sure, thank you, Jennifer. I got a couple of questions and comments. First of all, on the West Basin Chats, I think that's a great idea. I fully support it, and I think it'd be excellent when you have the dates, send them to us, and if there's some sort of flyers, promotional, what have you, can forward to me, and I'll help put it out there. Right now, when I'm talking to residents, or sometimes I get invited to be on online events, and I always talk about the grass replacement. So people are, they're aware, they're being made aware again, it still exists. I think that one of my questions is on the grass replacement classes. Those are offered through Metropolitan, right? I wonder, how is the district promoting those classes and driving our residents to that option? I haven't been looking at everything you all are putting out all the time, but on the other hand, I think people need to be aware those classes exist. So is the district continuing to push that out even though we're not the host?
Yes, definitely. I think the best way that we've done that recently is through the refresh that we created for the website, the grass replacement web page, I should say, on the West Basin website. It creates kind of a structure for residents to follow the different steps of preparing for this type of project. And so we've simplified really the way to try to not overwhelm residents that are beginning the process. And through one of those steps is what we consider the planning stage, right? And so these grass replacement classes that are, again, led by Met are a perfect resource that we really want residents to utilize kind of to prepare ahead of time before they begin their project, because it goes through different topics. It goes through design, it goes through the plants, all of those very similar questions that we get from residents throughout as they're beginning the projects. So that is one way that we push it out. And of course, with our messaging on social media, as we're talking about the grass replacement rebate that's available for West Basin. So those are a couple of ways that we do it. We definitely can continue promoting on social media and having additional ways of pointing out specific dates, but we really have included it within the website page, which leads residents to that class, the list of classes that's available for them to engage with.
Okay, good, because I think that, you know, there's a number of people that may want to attend one of these classes. They may or may not be ready or, you know, prepared to go through the whole replacement process, but they just might want to learn or understand, or maybe they're going to do something on their own a little bit. So I think it would be good if the district can just promote people to that you know, that registration site or whatever. But one thing, of course, through our website, but also on our own, because it is nice that, you know, Metropolitan's doing this. This is a program they're doing. We just basically need to let people know about it. So I try and tell people, yeah, there's these classes, but, you know, I don't know all the details of the classes. They obviously have to go to the website to learn. So I think it'd be good if the district could push on that. That'd be good. The thing that's been brought up to me lately has been an interest in gray water again, which we had done the gray water classes on the last big drought, and people are really interested in those again. So I know we're already in this current fiscal year, but I think that we should look at some options on gray water again. And maybe that's something in the next calendar year, but there's an interest in gray water. And people really enjoyed the programs we had before. So we've talked a little bit about it, but I don't think that that's in our programming right now. So I'd like to bring that back up to staff. If you all could come back to the committee on some thoughts for some more gray water classes down the road. And the last thing is, and I believe it might have been the last meeting of this committee, but it was brought up talking about how do we engage those in the disadvantaged areas on the grass replacement rebate program and options. And so you guys didn't talk about that today. Is there any movement yet on what we had requested or when we might hear more information on that?
Director Houston, that item is actually our next item on the agenda, item 6C.
Okay, good. Okay, so you already put it separate. That sounds great. Okay, so I know that people are really interested in grass replacement right now, once again, and so I think that we're on a good path. But those things I brought up to you, I would like to see us push harder on, especially let people know the classes exist, that they can sign up on their own time.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate that feedback, and it definitely will be noted as far as our planning efforts moving forward. Like you said, we want to continue promoting not just the rebate, but also the classes. So yeah, I'll definitely work with our PI team to see how we can continue that promotion of those classes and make residents aware that this is a resource that they can utilize. And it is a good point that it might be, you know, overwhelming to think about the rebate process and applying. So some might just want the education. And I know it has been included in the Water Lab series as a, you know, available class. So I'll check in with the team definitely to see how that could be continued in the next few months, where the Water Lab, you know, can assist in promoting those classes directly like it was in the past. So thank you. Any other questions regarding grass replacement?
Yeah, just one comment on the back end of that. It's because obviously these programs, they continue to exist. This is a great one because we're not even really paying for it directly. I mean, we pay for it obviously through our water bills, but just continuing to hit the public that, hey, this is there, because right, it's hit or miss. And then there's the ones that they participate and then, you know, they've moved on, but now you're getting interests and peaks, right? So I just think you need to just keep putting it out there in a strategic way. But we're gonna, I mean, look, the drought is obviously one of the biggest issues going on. People are more engaged. This is our chance to really shine and show the public what we're doing on their behalf. So we have to take advantage of that, but also it's great information. So I just encourage that. So thank you, Jennifer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Houston.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Great. I'll continue really quickly through Cash for Kitchens and also Ocean Friendly Gardens. So for Cash for Kitchens, we did, of course, collaborate with our program partner, the South Bay Cities Council of Governments. We completed a few activities in August 2021. We did prepare our first postcard campaign of the fiscal year for restaurants and commercial kitchens across the service area. We did begin contacting local green business opportunities that may take advantage of the program. The COG has a strong focus on green business, the green business program that is held by their team. So it is a strong connection to what we do and are trying to achieve with Cash for Kitchens. And so we'll identify additional sites in the next few weeks as they begin their campaign with green business. We also requested from the COG creating content and additional e-newsletter information that can be shared with local chambers of commerce to continue that interest and continue the promotion of the Cash for Kitchens program as we're kind of kicking back up with more events and also types of information for that program. And then lastly, for Ocean Friendly Gardens, beginning at the top portion of packet page 22, I did want to update that West Basin initiated a contract with Swayzer Landscapes, which will remain in place until June 30th of 2022. We have integrated, again, on-call maintenance design assistance, which is something new to this contract, and it is meant to assist current and future ocean-friendly gardens in the service area, some which might be interested in beginning a process for designing a new garden within their city. So we have that on contract. Swayzer Landscapes is able to assist, and we begin with kind of providing that service to one of the cities that was interested in the area, and we're still working with them. And I can definitely provide more updates in the next month or so as we continue working with our team. That is my last update. I am happy to take any questions you may have regarding the last two programs I covered.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any Director Houston?
No, thank you. No further questions.
Any other director? Okay, thank you very much. Gus? Is that?
Well, Chairman, the next item that we have for you is item 6C, which begins on packet page 25. And as you've heard throughout these presentations, West Basin has been very active throughout the West Basin service area, but especially the disadvantaged communities. And this item, at the direction of the board, is our Disadvantaged Communities Initiative to expand participation in our water use efficiency programs, specifically the grass replacement program. And here to discuss the development of that program, again, is Jennifer Vasquez, our Water Policy and Resources Analyst 2.
Great, thank you, EJ, and good morning again, Chairman Williams. I should have just stayed on camera. This memo provides an update again on West Basin's development of the Grass Replacement Program Initiative for West Basin's disadvantaged communities. It does include the program recommendations following the presentation on August 12, 2021, which was given last month. I did want to take this opportunity to describe in further detail the designation as identified by the CalEnviroScreen. So in my first presentation, I did mention that we would be utilizing, and it's mentioned in this information item also, that we would be utilizing CalEnviroScreen SB 535 Disadvantaged Communities Map. I did want to go into a little bit more detail into what that entails, just to give more background on the selection to use this method to identify census tracts designated as DAC. So for some background, the California Environmental Protection Agency, or Cal EPA, is the responsible party for identifying disadvantaged communities for purposes of the Cap and Trade funding program. In October 2014, after a series of public workshops, the agency designated as disadvantaged community the 25% highest scoring census tracts using the results of the California Communities Environmental Health Screening Tool version 2. So at that time, it was CalEnviro 2.0 that was used. Since then, of course, there have been updates to the screening tool, and it has resulted in the 3.0 version, which will be utilized by this program. And I did want to point out that there is development of a 4.0 version that staff will remain engaged with upon its release, because it will provide additional updates to the census tracts and the information that is included within that each individual census tract. SB 535 also directed Cal EPA to identify disadvantaged communities based on geographic, socioeconomic, public health, and environmental hazard criteria. And so these communities may include, but are not limited to, areas disproportionately affected by environmental pollution and other hazards that can lead to negative public health effects, exposure, or environmental degradation. It includes also areas with concentrations of people that are low income, high unemployment, low levels of home ownership, high rent burden, sensitive populations, or low levels of educational attainment. For the purposes of this program, West Basin staff recognizes that this tool provides valuable guidance on providing the maximum benefit to the disadvantaged communities. So while it goes above and beyond, I guess, just the income request that was originally made, and we do want to look at all these other factors as we're developing this program. Moving on, I will glaze over the objectives that are included in the information item, because I did cover these at the last meeting. I just wanted to make sure to keep them top of mind within this information item as well. These have not changed as far as what we're hoping to achieve with the program. And I can also, of course, answer any questions as you're reviewing them. But I did want to cover, after receiving initial board feedback, really the program design elements and confirm the funding amounts for planning of these program design elements. So for this pilot program, we aim to provide an update to outdoor focused water efficiency through an increased square foot rebate in DAC census tracts from $3 to $5. So it would be a total of a $5 rebate that would be available in these census tracts, excuse me. Residential design assistance. We focus on urban forest initiatives with the inclusion of drought-tolerant trees in the landscape replacement projects, exploring a possible plant voucher system, which again was mentioned last time, additional educational webinars, irrigation upgrades through the installation of outdoor efficiency devices, and also we are looking at leak detection flow monitoring devices, which is a new program that not just was also introduced by Metropolitan, but we want to see how we can integrate that with our program, since it is an outdoor water efficiency program. Now, moving on to the table that was included within the information item, which highlights really how the additional funds would be utilized. We would like to confirm moving forward with these amounts so that we make sure that we captured really the direction of the board and the committee. So there was a total of $171,825 that was identified for this program. And of those, the residential rebate funding would be $100,000 to utilize towards that $5 total rebate. Again, just as a reminder, Metropolitan would cover $2 and West Basin would be putting in $3. I did want to clarify that, but I didn't want to confuse it by having different dollar amounts. So it would be a total amount of $5 per square foot for the residential grass replacement rebate within these census tracts. Again, very similarly, we have the commercial grass replacement rebate at $5 per square foot. For that funding amount, we would start at a lower $25,000, utilizing again the additional funds, and we would gauge to see what the interest is for these locations and the census tracts within that could utilize the commercial grass replacement rebate. For the program elements, moving on, the tree voucher and design assistance would be assigned $31,825. And I did want to point out on the additional considerations that this may be reimbursed by Metropolitan MAA funding, which would allow for possible additional funding to be used in this area, so that more of it could be done if we do see that it is, if additional funding is needed. Lastly, the last item and program element would be, of course, marketing and outreach. This is a brand new program, and we did think of allocating $15,000 of that additional funding towards marketing and outreach for that. I did include implementation dates as I'm covering the table of having some of these items go into effect. We did brainstorm really that November would possibly be a more ideal way of packaging all of this together so that it's not all kind of brought into pieces. However, I did want to point out that the grass replacement rebate is something that can be really applied to the SoCal Water Smart system almost very quickly based on what we receive feedback from Metropolitan staff. It would really be a matter of plugging in these additional funding amounts to their system and allowing those census tracts in that are designated as staff to apply and receive the $5 rebate that you're seeing there. And so again, this would total the full funding amount that was outlined at the $171,825 amount. Before I finish my information item, I did want to touch just really quickly on marketing. We are collaborating, of course, with our public information and education team to identify the best way of promoting this new program and really utilizing those funds that we outlined for the $15,000 for this program. So I really do see this as a unique opportunity to engage our community partners and also work on establishing key relationships through the process. It is a great opportunity to highlight what we can do as it relates to water efficiency for these DAC census tracts. So without any other updates, I'll go ahead and pause there for questions, comments, any feedback regarding specifically the funding amounts that I highlighted, and open for any questions you may have.
Director Houston.
Sure. First of all, wow, this is really good. I'm really pleased with what you all have come up with, and so I want to say I applaud that. I think it's excellent that we could do $5 a square foot in these areas. That would be great. Obviously, I think that's what we're doing up in Malibu and Topanga right now with the Topanga and Malibu Smart program. So, if some of those higher end communities can do it, of course, these disadvantaged communities should be eligible. You touched on it lightly, and I think you're right on the marketing and outreach. This is more just me thinking, food for thought. These areas are not going to be as traditional for you to get in touch with, right? They're not going to be always on social media, or they're going to be watching for that type of outreach to them for this program. So it seems to me it's going to be much more targeted, and or so I guess you probably end up doing maybe the door hangers, or you're going to do these postcards or some way to really get to them. I'm wondering, at some point, you got $15,000 in here, you're probably going to have to do more at some point, but I think you probably should just kind of monitor it and see how it works. But I feel like you're going to have to, it's got to be more grassroots. So I think that's something you guys got to prepare for, to really get in front of the eyeballs of those residents, and probably some outreach like going to those HOAs or different community groups that are in those communities, because again, it's such a different audience. So that's just one thing. And the other thing, and I'm blanking on what it was for a moment here. Most of these communities or the census tracts, are these in the South Bay Environmental Services territory?
They are, yeah. On the information item, the objectives that I didn't cover, it does list out the cities, and I can kind of highlight those again. But it is that last bullet. It includes Inglewood, Lenox, Del Aire, Athens, Westmont, Hawthorne, Gardena, Lawndale, and Carson. And then, yeah, I did mention areas of Culver City, West Hollywood, and Malibu, but very, very small populations there. So those are the cities. So to answer your question, sorry, I listed all those out, but yes, they do include and are covered in the South Bay area.
Okay, good, because that means that the Environmental Services Center can help on this, right?
That's correct, yes. We could definitely engage them with the program as it, we develop it further and see what their kind of, how they could help assist us as a community partner is what I would identify them as. And I really appreciate your comment about this being kind of a grassroots effort. It is a very different and unique opportunity, as I continue calling it. So yeah, we definitely recognize this as a way of getting the word out for this new program.
Okay, good. I just want to end on this is the great thing is, of course, most of these areas are within the Environmental Services Center. So obviously that helps you guys, that helps our staff. So with some extra, some extra resources, if you will. And so, and I understand, a lot of my area, Division 4, won't be impacted by this, but ultimately where we need to do, is put the funding where it's going to make the most impact regionally. And so I just think this is a great program. The numbers seem workable to me just to start, and you'll monitor it. And if we need to make some adjustments, I think obviously we should consider that at that time. So so thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, this is a great program here, and I think the marketing effort has to be really off to that what is often called guerrilla marketing. You have to be in their faces all the time with this in the best way, and it certainly is not going to be through social media, because a lot of these folks simply don't have it. But the door hangers work for some of these communities, but some folks don't use their front door because they park in their garage or next to the garage, and they come in through the garage and not through the front door. And some of the upper parts of the disadvantaged communities, but the older ones, the ones that have the large lots, that they spend a lot of water wasting water because they can't really irrigate that grass the way they need to. The grass looks awful. The front yards just look terrible. I drove through one part of my division that's just north of our headquarters, and north of Alondra, and great opportunities for a landscaping that is not grass. They would look wonderful. They look like ranch style homes if they would get into that California landscaping. And I think we need to talk to these people every opportunity we get. We got to be in their faces saying this is going to not only save the state's water, but it's going to save you money, and we'll get their attention. And we just got to be on it all the time. I back in the days when I had Marketing 101, it was said that you have to touch a person 10 times before they get it, so it really sinks in. So I'm all for reaching these communities. And what I'd like to see, if we haven't already, have our delineated on a map of each district where the disadvantaged communities are, because they're not where you think they are, and where you think they are, they're not. So it'd be good to have a map in each division delineated so that we can see for sure, so that when we're out and about and we bump into people, we can talk about the program, right? And we don't, directors shouldn't really be taking your job's way of doing what you're supposed to be doing. But sometimes we have a better opportunity, or folks bump into us and they ask us about it. But for this, in the disadvantaged communities, they're not going to ask you about this. We got to tell them about it. So we need to, if we can have a map for each division that delineates the areas, that would be great. So and that way we won't insult some people, So I would do that. But this is an outstanding program, and because there's a lot of water, like I say, is being wasted out there. People trying to get that green lawn, because a lot of us came up, like I know I did, that where we grew up, if you didn't have a green lawn, you were considered a poor property owner. You weren't doing your job. You were bringing down the community. So you have to put that water out there to get that green lawn, emerald green. So please, if we can do this, we can reach people, and I think that's what we need to do if we're not doing it. All right. Well, thank you. Great program, though. Who recommended the $5? I mean, who did that come from? I know we had $3, but then $5 for the disadvantaged community. It's just who thought of that?
I believe Director Desi Alvarez brought it up as the issue. And then, of course, utilizing the model that we have in the Malibu and Topanga SMART programs, that's a larger scale group effort whereby Metropolitan Water District provides $2, we provide $1, and then LA County Waterworks provides $2. So ultimately, with all the project partners, it totals $5. So obviously, with this initiative and the funding that we were able to free up as far as our memberships go, and looking at our traditional burn rate and marketing as far as what we can do with grass replacement, $5 is very doable, and we think it's a great incentive.
Absolutely. I'll have to let Director Alvarez know that. Thank you. Any
Great,
other
thank you.
comments?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Director Gray.
Yes. I wanted to make some comments. First of all, I appreciate the presentation and what staff has brought back, and certainly applaud Director Alvarez for bringing it to our attention and for suggesting we do more. What I'd like to suggest is, and maybe I've missed it because I am on the phone, that staff, I agree that we really do need to do outreach because sometimes disadvantaged communities are not aware of the resources. So I'd like staff to develop an outreach plan and come back to the committee with a real plan so it's measurable, that we can actually see what if the residents in those communities are using those resources. So I think we really need to do something that's more measurable and where we can look at the results and more targeted, because I think Director Huesman mentioned HOA, and I'm not sure how many disadvantaged communities have homeowners associated. Maybe they're not gated communities. I may have misheard, but those are unique areas. I think Director Williams mentioned having some kind of indication of where those communities are. I can't see what you presented. I don't know if you have zip codes, but those areas are unique, depends on where you are and which cities you are in. So again, I suggest you come back with an outreach plan that targeted each area that we're looking at in our service area and some measurable results, some kind of plan that shows us that, people in those particular communities have taken advantage of, not advantage, but benefited from some of the resources. So again, thank you, staff. Great plan, great work, and thank you, Director Alvarez. And thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Sure. I just wanted to actually tag on to that because I think what Director Gray and President Williams said is 100% accurate. This is just, it's not your, at least for some, what they think is not the traditional group you're trying to outreach to. And so the guerrilla marketing and a different out of the box thinking is what needs to happen. So I think that Director Gray made a great suggestion to actually bring us back something to look at so we can give you some more input, because we all, of course, know our communities pretty well. And I think we could help look at it and see if we're going the right direction. Because the other things you have to think about is, that there's churches, there's all manner of different community organizations that probably should be touched in this that you may or may not do in some of our other communities. So again, and what Director Williams said, President Williams said is accurate. You just got to get in front of their faces over and over. You almost have to walk the streets to let them know, because ultimately what we want is we don't want them to be left behind, right, or to say, I never was told, even though we've told them maybe 5 or 10 times, but right, you don't want to get that feedback. You want to go out and say, I've done everything I could do, that they're aware. And lastly, and President Williams said it, you know, money talks too, right? So it's like, hey, you're going to save money on your water bill. You're going to save not just, you know, yeah, the environment and all that, but it's like, this is also going to save your pocketbook. So I think that that's part of the messaging you have to implement, but also we're here to help. So anyway, so I think both my colleagues, those are great suggestions. And again, staff, this is excellent to start this pilot project and see how it goes.
Director Williams, may I just add on, if you don't mind?
Please, go ahead.
Yes. Director Houston, thank you for mentioning churches, because people are going back to churches. And that's an excellent area where that information can be presented. If it's just taking it to churches and leaving it there at churches for members to come in when they come to Sunday service, or even coming to a church and making a presentation. And I know Director Williams and probably Director Hughes and others have gone to churches and made presentations just to let the community, the congregation know. Most churches are virtual and in person. And if staff or directors made a presentation, that's a great way to get that information out. So thank you for mentioning churches, because I think that's a area certainly in some of the communities that I serve would be a good outreach effort to churches to get the word out. So thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, Chairman Williams, if you don't mind, I would like to address just maybe a couple of those comments just to update the committee and board on some of the activities related to this effort. As far as an outreach program, you know, the Water Policy and Resources Development Department meeting did meet this morning to talk about this program as well as a lot of our other programs and talk about the marketing effort. This led to a lengthy discussion with Amy Rocha and myself to talk about developing this plan and really utilizing key allies and relationships whereby other people are promoting West Basin and our efforts in their circles as well. So trying to utilize those relationships to kind of build support for this program and project, as well as generate media attention on it. So we'll be bringing that back for you. So it's great to hear this feedback from all of you, because it sounds to me like we're on the right track. And then secondly, I did want to highlight just West Basin's past success, obviously through your leadership, but also our staff, our water use efficiency, and our public information staff. We have implemented several great programs within our disadvantaged communities in the West Basin service area. And one of those you heard a little bit about before, our Change and Save program. That was actually a grant for a water use efficiency program specifically geared towards reaching that community. We had an excellent consultant on board to assist us with that effort, and we really hit hard in those communities and really found a lot of traction in order to meet our KPIs, our key performance indicators, much earlier than we anticipated in the middle of a pandemic. So West Basin staff does have a great deal of experience as far as reaching all the communities in our service area, and we are looking forward to really bringing this program out and rolling it out. We hope that it'll actually spread throughout the service area and generate even more attention to grass replacement. So not just in those neighborhoods, but just the volume of discussion related to water use efficiency and money saving efforts. We really hope that this program is going to take off in all of our communities. So you'll be hearing about this regularly in every committee meeting related to conservation, and we're looking forward to working with all of you to really spread the word.
Outstanding. Thank you. Next item.
Yes, Chairman Williams, and this will be obviously one excellent opportunity to promote grass replacement because there's so much education being shared at our annual water harvest. And this item here, 6D, which begins on packet page 28, is our Water Harvest 2021 update. And this item will be delivered by Melissa Buendia, our public information specialist.
Great, thank you, EJ, and good afternoon, committee chair, members of the committee and the board. As mentioned, I will be providing an event planning update for the Water Harvest event this year. I'll start off by saying we are currently 7 weeks out from our online event on Saturday, October 23rd. And in the past few weeks, there have been a number of developments and moving parts that have been coming together simultaneously, which I'm happy to provide updates on. I do want to acknowledge that we typically do have a draft flyer to share with the board at this point in our event planning timeline, but given the number of new elements staff is navigating through in this online event format, we are still working to pull together a compiled flyer, and we'll of course send that to the board once we have it to help spread the word about the event with plenty of time to promote. So in anticipation of that, I did send along an email to the Office of the General Manager that featured some of the content that will be incorporated into the flyer. And I did bring today a few slides that feature some of the elements we can look forward to, not only in the flyer, but incorporated into the online event platform that staff is working on behind the scenes simultaneously as well. So just to give some background, this year's event title and theme is Water Harvest, STEAM Adventure, the acronym meaning science, technology, engineering, art, and math, with the tagline of an online journey where you can help discover and solve the mystery of our disappearing water supply. So our program is shaping up nicely and will feature engaging activities led by water experts from around the state of California, highlighting the important water journey that it takes to get to our taps every single day. And I will get into a little bit more detail on the program development and who some of our program partners are in the next section of my update. But staff's direction this year, given the online format, is to truly emphasize the water education elements and make it as interesting and enticing as possible for student-aged residents to attend. And we believe this fun theme, we can do that. And of course, utilizing the very importance of the prevalence of the current drought that we are going through, so highlighting that throughout the program as well. So here you can see a mood board of sorts to provide the committee the opportunity to see the direction that staff is taking this theme. So we are building on some of the keywords that were already mentioned. So STEAM, working with our program partners to incorporate some elements of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics into their pre-recorded and or live segments that they will be sharing with us. The words adventure, journey, and discovery, all fun words that encourage exploration and learning about our precious water supplies. And we're also working with our event production consultant to arrange a number of gamification elements, so either a scavenger hunt or riddles throughout the event to again tie into the adventure and fun we are aiming to have with this event this year. So visually, we are playing off of these words with a postcard treatment for our event title, again, playing off the idea of travel, adventure, discovery, and we are also working on a tourist-like map of the state of California, highlighting various areas that tie into the event program. So the idea is to not only utilize the map imagery for the flyer that we are currently in progress with, but to make it a feature image that attendees will see as they log into this event and use it to navigate a number of pre-recorded resources on the day of the event. And then moving along to the next slide that I have here, it features the color palette and some of the font direction we are going towards. Just a little preview of the design process we are currently going through. Bright, colorful, and actually some of these colors in this palette are directly sampled from images around our service area. So that recycled water purple, the darker blue on the top left is actually sampled from the wing of an El Segundo butterfly. That teal color inspired by the Manhattan Beach Pier with the Roundhouse Aquarium, who is one of our program partners, as well as that orange yellow from the California poppy. So now I will move along to more details regarding the event program development so we can navigate back to the memo. Thank you. If there are no questions on this section. So staff is working with a number of organizations and agencies that the district has worked with previously at our water harvest events. So I did just mention Roundhouse Aquarium. We are lucky to be working with them again today for this event this year. We are working with UC Master Gardeners as well as the Water Replenishment District and Metropolitan Water District. And we're currently in coordination with the Department of Water Resources as well as Los Angeles Environmental Learning Center at Hyperion. So our run of show is shaping up quite nicely. And just for additional background, we are currently refining a condensed 2-hour timeline of live segments. I know that our in-person event is typically 4 hours, but we're condensing it down to a 2-hour timeline given the nature of the event being online, and of course considering attention spans of the audience that we are aiming for. So we are pursuing shorter segments, 10 to 15-minute long segments that will span that 2 hours of live content. But in addition to the live content, staff is coordinating with our program partners to provide pre-recorded resources that'll be available to the public or event attendees, I should say, before and after the live segments take place. So there will be plenty of time to access those types of resources and get that education in. Okay, before I do open for feedback and questions, I do want to acknowledge and provide a few additional updates just in terms of the progression of the promotion strategy. I know that we did provide an overview of the promotional strategy during the August Public Information and Education Committee last month, but I did just want to share that staff is continuing to pursue a mixture of digital and print promotional tactics. We're also piloting additional outreach to education and parent groups this year, really taking advantage of the relationships that we have within the school districts, as well as utilizing our approved water harvest advertising budget to select a balance of coverage throughout the service area as we do every year. And I did want to also mention the Water for Tomorrow Awards. I know that we typically recognize 5 individuals or organizations for their work as water stewards in our communities. One of the main highlights of this portion of the events program is that the ceremony is an opportunity to spotlight the recipients amongst the community members in person. So due to the format of this year's event in an online platform, it is recommended that the award ceremonies be reconsidered for next year in 2022 when we can hopefully have an in-person event and have that return to an in-person format. And lastly, I did want to just quickly touch on sponsorships. Typically, we do incorporate sponsors into our branding materials, our event flyers specifically, and the public information team is currently working with the general manager and the admin team to pursue sponsorships to help offset the costs of the event. So I know that that was a lot of information. I just did want to close quickly before I open it up for questions to just share that there are a number of opportunities for the board to be involved and participate in the program development, either through pre-recorded West Basin welcome message, which would take place at the opening of the event, and the live awarding of prizes to guests at the closing of the event, which will take place in the last 15 minutes of the live programming that we have planned. So both of these opportunities require coordination of calendars, so I am happy to continue working closely with the Office of the General Manager to coordinate with those board members who are interested in participating. So with that, I am happy to pause here for any thoughts, direction, feedback from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Outstanding. Director Houston.
Sure, I don't really have anything to add, Melissa. I know you guys will do the best with what you're able to work with this year. And I did send my comments to our general manager and board secretary that were probably sent to you with those requests. So if you'll work with me on what I put in there, I'm happy with that, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Deere,
Yes,
comments?
I'm looking forward to the event. Sounds like it's going to be well planned. Thank you.
Director Gray?
No, I'm good. Excellent report, Melissa. So thank you very much.
Okay. I've been here, I don't know how many years now, a little over 6, but I've always been pleased with what you folks do when it comes to our water harvest. And I'm looking forward to a great effort again. And but I did send in my comments concerning what I'd like to see happen. And but you guys do a great job. I mean, I have my grandson who is like 3 years old. I believe he was then 3 years old. It was the last one we had in person. When was that? That was in
2019.
2019. He had a great time. And I'm looking forward to him having another great time, but virtually, of course. Okay, because he will be back for that. So I think since this is a virtual presentation, that is we should have as many board members involved in the opening and closing, so that it's meaningful for everyone. And I have one question that's probably should have been asked earlier sometime, but the art for our that we're using now, artwork that see if you look at the this, see that? Now what do you call that art? This art, Jaja, where did it come from?
We actually worked with an illustrator to help develop those illustrations. So that's that style that you're looking at right now.
It's great. I'm not here to criticize, but I think it's great, and it has a lot of it has a forward look to it, like we're a forward-thinking organization. Isn't that wonderful? I like it. Doing a great job. And I'm again looking forward to the water harvest, the virtual park here. So any other comments? Well, carry on, staff. Continue with your good work here. So we'll move on to the next item.
Yes, and we have one final item left on our information calendar. That is item 6E, which begins on packet page 30. It is our August 2021 communications update, and this presentation will be provided by our Manager of Communications, Amy Rocha.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the committee and board. Thank you for all of your feedback today. Obviously, PI is involved with everything that we're promoting, so all excellent. And I just will start by saying I think we're all on the same page and really excited about what we have to offer and promote. And it's so nice to be able to deliver real value to the community. So we look forward to working together to put out some really quality programs and spread the word. So I'll be covering the August 2021 communications update, just featuring some of our highlights in the attachment A that talks about some of our media relations, some of our media coverage earned, some of our upcoming announcements and marketing plans, as well as our social media highlights for the month. So I will move on to packet page 33 now. And Director Williams, too, thank you very much about the feedback on the PowerPoint presentation. We have a template available with different slides and transition slides that are available, and that when we put together presentations for the community, whether it's staff or the board, that's available to all. And we maintain that on an ongoing basis, adding new slides, whenever we get new information, such as drought or a new project. So that's always available to all staff and board. So for our communications activities, some updates on our website that we put under our new section where we talked about our grass replacement rebate program with some of that refreshed design and really pushing the overall program. And I'll spotlight some of the visuals up ahead. We also talked about some targeted some funding for recycled water projects that are potential through some of the House legislation that's moving through the House right now for the Harbor South Bay project. So that just was a little tidbit. I think it was based on some news from Senator Padilla about potential for nearly $4 million in funding. So that was just something we thought we should share, as well as our employee, staff, board directed news about proof of vaccination. We wanted to make sure people knew that that's our protocols now in the COVID stage we're in. And then finally, just an update on our recycled water use, the quality and impacts as a result of the Hyperion incident. We have been getting public interest on that from some of our cities, and I'll speak to it in a moment when we talk about media coverage, but wanted to make sure that we were assuring our publics that our recycled water is fit for its intended use and is meeting is working with our regulators to ensure that. So moving on to the next section here on the same slide, the press releases. So this is our media relations elements, where we did share news about our firescaping workshop coming up on September 15th, our annual water harvest save the date that we shared, as well as we did put out a statement to one requesting reporter regarding the general manager transition. And so we wanted to be transparent and put that on the web as well. So moving along to packet page 34, you can see some of the results of our press releases and the resulting media coverage, including our traditional news outlets, as well as some of our industry and trades. So there we go, thank you so much. You can see here, we start off with Aqua, just sharing district news about our water shortage contingency plan. That was actually, I think that was in our last report, because we issued that at the end of July, if I'm not mistaken. And so, this is some of the coverage coming through that we didn't capture last report. Also picked up by the Topanga New Times, as well as the Sentinel. We also had some coverage, one Daily Breeze article about the cost-benefit analysis of the ocean water desalination program, and so that received some coverage with limited comments. We also had a feature piece where our engineering and operations executive manager was interviewed for a piece about recycled water. His section ended up being, and the section about West Basin ended up being rather short. We did have quite extensive interview, but we were happy to be included and recognizing, the potential for DPR and recycled water on the whole. And then moving along, and these clips are included as attachment B in the packet, so I won't get into all the details, but there's a lot of actually great coverage this session. So I am highlighting, some of the water shortage contingency plan pickup by our cities, such as El Segundo, and then I think I'm still on page 35. 34. The last item listed here is the LA Times story that really covered the angle of Hyperion's impact on recycled water in the community. And so we did have our GM and our executive manager of engineering and operations involved with interviewing, as well as operations staff, who were verifying facts about, data and reporting and a lot. So it was a lot of hands-on effort to contribute to that article by Robert Lopez, and I think it ended up being a thorough piece. And it's always nice to have relationships with the Los Angeles Times, positive ones. So almost done here with the coverage. Just more pickup on our vaccination policy. We did get some coverage in Water World regarding a new relationship with Inframark to manage the recycled water pipeline after that RFP process, and as well as more Sentinel and Daily Breeze news coverage of our festival, which Melissa just reported on. So that's a snapshot of our media coverage as a result of our proactive and reactive media relations. And then moving on to packet page 37, we'll look at some planning opportunities. So grass rebate, we talked extensively about this already, definitely was listening closely and taking notes and, assuring you that we are on the same page, and we are already having regular planning meetings and establishing, some of the research we need and to inform our strategies moving forward to really promote the grass replacement as a whole, as well as the new elements focused on our DAC target audience. And I'll spotlight a few just visuals. I think actually Jennifer showcased some of them already, but in an upcoming slide. And then also regarding drought, obviously constantly keeping tabs on what's coming through from the different agencies and Metropolitan. And during a recent public information officers work group meeting, Metropolitan presented some survey research about, sentiments from the whole region. So, down to San Diego and including LA County, about, whether people feel like they can do more and attitudes towards the drought. It was just based on a 1,000 sample and was done in August. But they also, so they just highlighted some of that and how it informed their ad campaign that is live on the website, and they issued a press release. So if you're interested in seeing some of their newest artwork, it is online on the Metropolitan site, as well as they featured some of their advertising placements. They are doing some through the summer, some outdoor advertising across all the different counties, including some visual digital outdoor boards. And I think one is supposed to be posted right near our DLD building off of Central Avenue. There's some digital boards outside that Compton-Carson border. And so I don't have an exact date of when they'll start running, but next time we're in the office, keep our eyes peeled to see if Met's ads are running up on that billboard. And then as far as our programming, Melissa touched on this, and clearly the water use efficiency programming conversation touched on this, but we're trying to weave drought into everything that we do, right? There is opportunity to touch on this as something that's front of mind for everyone. And so wherever we can, whether it's the festival, a community outreach event, we're weaving that in. And that also includes our education programs for our school-age children. Where I don't have a full report here, we do plan to come back with a fuller education program report on some of our program components, but I did quickly want to share some details about our virtual and our in-person field trips. I believe our general manager had mentioned at a last board meeting that we were beginning to open up reservations, and those opened up on August 23rd. And our first available date for tours is September 14th. And we're happy to report that we already have 35 signups, not only for the remainder of the year for virtual, but also looking into the new year for some of our in-person tours when we start that back up, one class at a time at ECL. And so right now, we have our in-person field trips tentatively starting in January, pending obviously any guidance from the various health departments and keeping tabs on the pandemic and school needs. And we continue to work with our existing teacher database as well as expand into some of our new ways of reaching our educators and teachers that are working with West Basin this year. And so, as I mentioned, we'll come back with some more updates on that, as well as career-focused program updates, as well as art contests, some news and launch information, as well as some other regular programs. And then again, looking ahead, we are need to get started on our fall 2021 e-newsletter, and I'm sure we will have plenty of good news to share in light of our conversation today. So just moving one slide ahead to packet page 38, here's some of the grass replacement collateral we talked about, some of the ways we're promoting it through social media, through e-blasts, through South Bay Environmental Service Center e-blasts, through social media cover art and features there. So we are continuing to build on the service area wide program and promotion, as well as our new spin-off program. And let me see, there was one more thing I wanted to add here. Oh, and just speaking to an earlier point about promoting Metropolitan's classes, that's definitely weaved in, as Jennifer mentioned, as part of our, not only the information on our website, but also through our programs. Whether we have a water lab class, we always showcase Metropolitan's offerings. In our promotion, we'll have links to those classes. In our Speakers Bureau opportunities and on social media, we do highlight Metropolitan's offerings because it clearly encourages and prepares people to apply for that rebate. And then on packet page 30, actually 40, let's go ahead to skip ahead to 40. There's some highlights here. You can see some of our popular or notable highlights. So City of Hermosa Beach was one of our active cities interested in what was happening on the implications of the Hyperion spill. EJ had presented to their city council, and we had provided social media updates that the city could share, as well as other interested parties. Our firescaping, which we already covered, but here's an example of the city of Rancho Palos Verdes. We know there was interest from our PV focused one, so we thought they might want to participate in the upcoming one. And then just the Inframark partnership we now have, and they're sharing the news of the contract relationship. On the next slide, 41 for Twitter, again, just showcasing the LA City San Hyperion tour that EJ and Barkev and our directors had arranged and took, just to show, how involved and how we are working hand in hand to, just stay on top of what's going on at Hyperion. And then for Facebook, a little bit different tone here. Just our Water Harvest Festival, save the date, sharing that. And then following Instagram, another change of theme here, our water bottle filling station. So it's nice to see the partnership with Lawndale and some of the grant programs we have to offer. And finally, LinkedIn, another Hyperion tour feature. So this is the end of my report. If there are any questions or comments, feedback you want to share with me, please let me know. Otherwise, the following pages are simply the media coverage for you to look at your leisure.
All right, thank you. Great report. If I haven't said so, I want to say so now that I think the collateral for the grass replacement program is another fine piece. It makes me feel good handing it out. I mean, because it's just so eye appealing and thought provoking, and gee, this must be something great, because this is wonderful. The only thing, if I was going to offer some suggestions, that it's too polished in terms of surface, because when you put them together, you have to be on your P's and Q's, because they'll slide and go all over the place. So that's the only thing I have to say.
Okay, no, appreciate that, especially at an event, right? If you put out the collateral, so thank you.
Right. The coefficient of friction needs to be looked at. Thank you. But great work, great work. Anything else, Director Houston?
Sure, I just really say quickly, I think, and I'm looking at this packet, it's amazing how much happened this past month, and we got a lot of coverage on various issues. And so I want to thank staff for all the work you do and get this information out and be responsive to the press. And there's some really great articles, including, I think the one in the Los Angeles Times that talked about the Hyperion incident and what West Basin was experiencing. I think that was really good and timely for us, so the public could understand what we were dealing with. And also, there was a couple other stories in here. Oh, the one at NC, I thought that was just so excellent, that Barkev was in. So I applaud it, and I concur with what President Williams said. I think that the collateral is looking good. It really pops. It's getting people's attention. And I know in your upcoming planning, the one thing that we'll probably look at is when we roll out this pilot toward the disadvantaged communities, somehow you'll be getting that information parlayed, because I think that that's something we should be very proud of once we get started. But also it of course kicks it off, it launches it, but it also says, we're doing something beyond the normal at West Basin. And I think this agency's always been known to be, leading edge, and this plays right into, our mission. So that would be my add to you guys, is put that on your list of, upcoming promotional things, because again, this district, I think we're going in a really great direction, and it is our staff that makes this happen. So excellent work. Thank you.
Okay, Director Deere, any comments?
I want to commend Director Houston for his comments. I agree with them entirely. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Director Gray.
And Chairman Williams, I just wanted to let you know that earlier during this presentation, due to a conflict, Director Gloria Gray had to leave the meeting, but she did notify us to let us know as she was doing so. So I wanted you to know.
All right, and very good. And that takes us to our next item on the agenda, closed session.
We have no closed session items for today.
Okay, very good. Then the next item would be item 8, director's comments, future agenda items. Do we have any?
Just really fast, Mr. Chair. I would just reiterate basically what we've all said. I think the staff is doing a great job right now. EJ and everybody who's on the call, you know, you've been through a lot when it comes to this pandemic and obviously other issues, but I think we're in a very good space. And one of the things I was struck by as we're talking about all the programming that this agency does is we have to remember that we are fortunate. We have good resources and a robust staff that can do this type of work, because most of the cities we serve, as you know, they're lucky if they've got one person who deals with a lot of this type of outreach or you know, that community engagement component. I know across, you know, the cities in Division 4, that's the case, and most of these communities it's similar. So we are really blessed to have, you know, a handful of folks in this department, and you're doing a great job. So I think we should just remember that, you know, we are the partners of these cities and the organizations, and so whatever, when we can collaborate, that's great, but also they're relying on us to provide that information, and they just push it out for us, which is excellent. So I just want to say thank you, staff, and keep up that great work and building those relationships with our cities we serve.
Thank you very much. And I ditto that, because relationship building and maintaining of relationships are very important for us being a special district. All right, anyone else?
Yes, Chairman Williams, if you don't mind, I would just like to say thank you very much for both of your comments and recognizing the effort of our public information team. It's really important to note that things are moving forward at a quick pace, but we're getting everything done, and you can see from the materials being produced at a very high quality and very quickly. And this, of course, you won't hear from the public information team, but they are short a staff member. When Dan Blackman left for another opportunity, we've been continuing on and not skipping a beat. So I want to say thank you very much to our entire public information and education team.
Very good. Then that brings us now to the next item. I believe it says number 9, adjournment.
That is correct.
Any objections? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.